Welcome back, boxing fans. Friday night in Riyadh in the Kingdom Arena in Saudi Arabia on the Zone pay-per-view. Of course, we've got Anthony Joshua facing Francis Ngannou in a 10-round heavyweight bout. But the fight on that card that I'm very much interested in, besides the South African flavour that we'll get to later, is the Big Bang, Zhilei Zhang, the man from China, the WBO interim belt holder, who will be defending that strap against a former WBO world champion, Joseph Parker from New Zealand. I love that heavyweight scrap. I think it's a fight that can go either way. Not at all too sure who wins. If you want to break down that fight with me, then stick around. Zhilei Zhang. Now, he's a guy that's proven me wrong a couple of times now. I had Filip Hrgović beating him. Hrgović did win a split decision, but it was touch and go. It could have gone Zhang's way. And I picked him twice to lose to Joe Joyce. And how bad do I look now? But that's why boxing is a fun sport. You never know. Now, I think sometimes you watch a fight earlier in a fighter's career, like in the case of me and Zhilei Zhang, where he was fighting a journeyman and he battled to a draw and he almost died in the ring. He gassed out and barely made it to the end of a fight. But sometimes it's also that there were problems in that specific fight that was legit. We're so used to excuses. When the excuse is legit, we don't take it seriously. And that seems to have been the case with Zhilei Zhang. Now, the Big Bang is 40 years old, but he seems to be running huge momentum now. He upset Joe Joyce, stopped him, closed his eye, and in a rematch, what a right hook from the southpaw Zhang's stance, and he really smashed Joe Joyce into the canvas there. Now, Joseph Parker, on the other hand, only 3 defeats, only been stopped once in the late rounds there against Joe Joyce. And then the points lost to Anthony Joshua. He was the first guy to take Joshua the distance back then, and to Dillian White. That was also a very close affair. So Joseph Parker's always been around the top, and he's put his career back on track with a couple of wins that culminated in Saudi the last time out, where he upset the apple cart and completely outboxed and outfought and outthinked Deontay Wilder, neutralized that one-hitter quitter, and that was probably, next to his win for the WBO title years ago against Andy Ruiz, his best performance, a very good tactical performance. So can he overcome Zhilei Zhang? Now, Joyce stopped Parker in a war, and Zhang knocked out Joyce. So, of course, Zhilei Zhang is going to beat Joseph Parker. Just kidding, that's unfortunately not how boxing works, because Fighter A beat Fighter B and Fighter C beat Fighter A. It doesn't mean Fighter C beats Fighter B necessarily, because styles make fights. But what we do know is, I think it's fairly safe to say that Zhilei Zhang can hit at least as hard as Joe Joyce, and he probably hits harder. From the eye test, looking on the TV screen, which is hard to say, I think Zhang is a better puncher than Joe Joyce. So if he hits Parker solid enough and often enough, I think it's a safe bet he can actually get Parker or anybody in the heavyweight division out of there. But Parker is an athletic sort to me. He moves well, he can box a bit, he can brawl a bit, he can do a bit of both. And he's at the stage of his career where he's got the experience now to know when he has to step on the gas and to know where he has to play it safe. So he's definitely, to me, got the quicker feet, he's got the quicker hands. And I would say he's got more experience at the very top level, although Zhilei Zhang has now proven himself as a top heavyweight contender. So can Parker upend the apple cart and stop the march of Zhilei Zhang, or is Zhang just going to stay around the top? Now, it's a hard call, because Zhang, as we know, he's 40 years old, he's not a spring chicken. But his game is not based on speed. He's got a style that's based on timing and heavy hands and good offensive technique as well. So I think it's a style that, like George Foreman back in the day, ages well. Whereas Parker's got a style that's more reflex-based and so on. It doesn't age as well. However, Parker showed against Deontay Wilder that war against Joyce and others he's been in hasn't taken everything out of him yet. And against Zhilei Zhang, he's going to have to follow a game plan, and what will that game plan be? I don't think Parker's got the physical strength. He's not a very big heavyweight to back Zhilei Zhang, who is one up. So Zhang is going to be plodding forward the way he likes to, and he's going to try and walk down Joseph Parker. And Parker's going to have to use angles. He's going to have to use his hand speed. He's going to have to hit, throw ones and twos, and get out around Zhang, who is a southpaw. And the thing is, how well is Joseph Parker going to cope with that? He had an awful outing against Hughie Fury, who I believe was a southpaw, if I'm correct. But Fury is a spoiler. He's a modern day Jimmy Young. He's not at all what the kind of style that Zhang is. So the thing is, can Parker move around Zhang, keep away from him, and box, land the punches and stay away? Because the one thing how you get over the heel of Zhilei Zhang, what say Filip Hrgović, is just being a bit busier over the stretch of a fight. Because Zhang fights at a steady pace. If he fights at a come forward, steady, controlled pace, you're not going to beat Zhilei Zhang. You're going to have to make him fight at a pace where he's uncomfortable, and that's what you do with all the fighters. You don't allow him to time you. You don't allow him to fight at their pace. You make that engine rev, and eventually it burns out. Teddy F. Atlas said something similar years ago. But Parker needs to set a high pace, and he needs to make Zhang move those feet more than he wants to meet it. He needs to make him play catch-up all the time. And then Zhang is going to start breathing heavy, and then Parker can start chipping away at him in the later rounds and win the fight on points. Unless he can make Zhang absolutely tired and make him gas out, I don't see Joseph Parker being able to stop Zhilei Zhang. He's a very solid fighter. Heard stories from trainers here in South Africa, trained in America in the same gyms and so on, of Zhang hitting guys that they become airborne during sparring. So I think that is the way for Parker to win. And I think very much that is the way he can win. Now, guys, remember to punch that like button. And if you want to, then tell me in the comment section, how do you break it down? Do you have Zhang or do you have Parker? And how do you think they win and why? Now, Zhilei Zhang, I think it's quite simple for him. He's got to cut the ring off. He's got to work the body of Parker. And he's got to get him in the corners so that he can eventually hit him with enough punches and land the heavier shots, hurt him a bit, keep him on the back foot, keep him in a shell, or eventually stop Joseph Parker. Now, who wins? Whoever gets the game plan right on the day, and whoever is being able to be the ring general and force the guy into his kind of fight will win. If it's Parker who can prevent Zhang from catching him too much and make him tire, Parker will win on points. If Zhang can get Parker into a corner, I do think Parker moves a bit better than Joe Joyce, and he's a bit quicker and he's not quite as easy to hit. If Zhang can get Joseph Parker in the corners and hurt him enough, I think Zhang will prevail. Now, there's always the politics of boxing. If a fight is close, do people really want to see Anthony Joshua against Joseph Parker again? I think everybody wants to see Zhang. He represents a big market. So I think Zhang can actually win a close decision here against Joseph Parker. And as I've said, I think he's got the heavier hands. Now, maybe it's just because as Lulu jumps in front of me, maybe it's just because I have been wrong so many times about Zhilei Zhang. But I just think the momentum is behind Zhang. And I think Parker did put on a good performance against Deontay Wilder, but Deontay Wilder is not a comparable thing to Zhilei Zhang. He was backing up all the time, hoping to walk Parker into that big right hand, which never landed right. So one hitter quitter didn't work, but Zhang is going to be coming forward. He's going to be using his southpaw jab. He's going to be using the straight left. He's going to be coming over with a right hook. So I think Parker will win some rounds. I think it's going to be a harder fight for Zhilei Zhang when he had against Joe Joyce, because he hasn't got such a stationary target in front of him. But I do think Zhilei Zhang is eventually going to break through. He's going to hit Parker with something. He's going to hurt him, and he's going to manage to get him out of there, become a second man to stop Joseph Parker. So this time, I just think Zhang's got a much better momentum than Deontay Wilder. Wilder is a tall guy, but he's not a big guy. He's very wiry, and he's going to be able to bully Joseph Parker eventually. And I don't think Joseph Parker is quite big enough to do that sort of Filip Hrgović kind of fight with Zhang. So therefore, I think it's going to be a good scrap. I'm really looking forward to it. But I think Zhilei Zhang is going to stop Joseph Parker also somewhere around 8 rounds, much like I think the Joshua Ngannou fight is going to end. So that is my opinion on Zhilei Zhang and Joseph Parker. Guys, thank you to all of you who have subscribed. Please remember to hit that button if you haven't. And until I see you again, remember to keep those hands up.